So this is the 2021 Kia Forte 5. And the difference between the Forte and the Forte 5 is the fact that it's a hatchagon. It's half hatch, half wagon. It doesn't really know what it's doing, but we'll get to that in a moment. So I drove the Kia Forte when I was on vacation in Banff, in Calgary, Alberta. And that is really where I realized where Kia was at. The suspension was really good, the steering was really good, and I felt all that stuff, and it brought me towards Kia. So since then, we've done all these videos. So some would say we're a little Kia obsessed, but I want to take a moment here to talk about how much power this thing makes, because 15 years ago, I used to have a 2001 Acura Integra Type R, and that made 200 horsepower and 135 foot-pounds of torque. This, on the other hand, makes 201 horsepower and 195 horsepower out of a 1.6 liter. But forget all those numbers, just think about one thing. If this car existed 15 years ago, there would be a huge lineup when it comes to paper and power. But today, nobody really blinks an eye at this Kia Forte 5 because the main reason is that maybe there's so much competition out there in terms of visuals and designs that maybe there are prettier cars in the front. But take this. This car costs $25,500 Canadian. That is cheap. Like, that has a lot of value. So this is probably a more value-based video. So if you guys are interested, stick along, and as always, don't forget to subscribe. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the manual transmission because yes, it is manual transmission, 6-speed manual transmission, but I'm going to talk about the front, I'm going to talk about the side, I'm going to talk about the back, I'm going to talk about rear seat room, the seats in the front because they are sporty, similar to a Kia Stinger. I'm going to take you for a drive, and of course, I'm going to let you hear the exhaust. Here it goes. So in the front of the car here, we do have LED headlights and LED daytime running lights. It also does have what they call escort lights, which basically come on when you're walking towards the car, which is pretty cool at this price point. Now, Audi does a really, really good job with headlights, as you guys know, in the last 10 years. But what Kia's done is really focused on this tiger nose grille, not just the shape of it, because it's fairly consistent, but what's inside. Now, as you guys know, we've done a whole bunch of Kias, but they always have different sort of looking grills. And in this specific case, if you look at it this way, it is pretty cool. It's got these little red inserts that sort of look like overlap fins, if that makes any sense. And also from this angle, these headlights really bulge out. They have a huge plastic clear shell that's very bulge-like-ish. And same down here, it kind of follows along in the front here with these signals, but it is a lot of piano black. So piano black here, and then piano black all in the lower valence of the front bumper. It does have these little inlets here, which look pretty cool. But other than that, that's sort of the front. Now it does have the older badge, and a unique piece about this one that's different than other Kias is it's missing the tiger nose follow-through in the windshield. And you see all the other ones we've done have sort of a tiger nose follow-through in the front windshield, just something I've noticed. So in Canada, there are 4 versions. There's the EX, there's the GT manual transmission, there's the GT automatic, and the GT limited. But what is interesting about this car is there's no chrome on it. It's all black everywhere. And this is a steel hood, not aluminum, because it is fairly heavy. Now underneath you have a 1.6 liter direct injection, as I said, it's manual transmission, recommended use. That makes 201 horsepower and 195 foot-pounds or pound-feet of torque, which propels this 3,200 pound subcompact little guy to 60 miles an hour in 6.7 seconds. And the Acura, you ask? Well, yes, it propels itself from 0 to 60 in 6.4 seconds. That is 0.3 seconds faster than this, but there's 2 key differences. One, this takes regular fuel, which is huge. I cannot express to you how big that is. The fact it takes regular fuel, especially because we do a lot of premium cars here, and everything takes premium fuel. And the cost of gas nowadays, it was like below negative per barrel, but now apparently it's not. It's very expensive throughout the country. Gas is expensive. And the second portion of it is that this has a 7-speed sequential or dual clutch gearbox. Not this one, but you can get them. Anyways, nonetheless, let's keep moving back. In terms of wheels, those are 18-inch wheels, and they do follow along the red accents from the front grille. But what's important is what's behind the wheel, and that is the brakes. And you see this has larger brakes, 12-inch compared to 11.6, and the Mazda 3 Turbo, which we reviewed right here. Now, moving further back, this does have a full sunroof. It does have black side mirror caps that are heated. Now, it also does have painted door handles. Now, Kia, for some reason, doesn't like to put comfort access or like automatic door opening with your key in your pocket. You know, when you put key in your pocket, you walk and you pull. They don't have it in the back doors. It's only in the front. And you can see with this button here. So I wish they did put it, but they don't. Now, it does follow through with the black on the bottom here all the way back. And that's pretty much it from the side of it until we get to this part here. Now, this part is very, in my opinion, Porsche, GTS, maybe Gran Turismo stuff. Like, you can see it right here. They kind of don't know what's going on. Is it a hatch? Is it a wagon? It's sort of like a hybrid mix. Kind of how I felt about the Subaru Impreza. I didn't really know what it was doing, and that's kind of what's happening here. That's why I call it a hatch-on. But not all hope is lost, because where they lost me on the side, they got me right back with the back. Can we say RS6 Avant? I mean, okay, maybe not, but very, very good. Like, look at this back. They've done a great job with this back end. This is a really good looking back end, and it looks completely different than the rest of the car. The front looks, forget it. The side looks almost, and the back is like, why don't you just look at the back and make the rest of the car like the back? Look how this honeycomb grille goes all the way through. Look how wide and big this rear valance is. You've got dual oval exhaust that have sort of a two-part overlap here. Like, they've done a really good job. What do you guys think? Look at this overhang for the spoiler. All you need is a lip spoiler here. I like this piano black overhang upper spoiler here. I think they've done a really good job with that portion of it. It is not power trunk, it is manual, and yes, it is a hatch. And it opens up this way and you get a lot of space. So let's pull this back down again here. Pull it back. And voila. So in terms of measurements here, you do have just about 35 inches. In terms of depth, it's about 40 wide. And well, in terms of height, if you guys care to know, it's 37. Now, it does have some cool features. It does have some tie downs. It has 4 tie downs, which are pretty neat looking. They're like plastic feeling, but they feel pretty decently strong. So underneath here, we do have some extra storage. Now, you do have this styrofoam molded 4-compartment container that looks like one of those windows from a house built in the 70s. And underneath that, you do have a little bit more storage from some more styrofoam pieces that looks like a boat, a front of a boat. But there is no run flats. This is actually full tubeless tires. They do have a compression kit that looks really funny because this is almost the same one that comes in an Audi. Yeah, wild. Now, before I jump to the front, I want to talk about 2 quick things. One is more important than the other. And the first most important thing is this. This makes a difference. You know why? Because I just reviewed a Tesla Model Y, and it does not come with a parcel shelf. Now, people don't know this, but in any sort of hatchback type vehicle, you need one of these to stop the noise, because it reverberates the rear tire noise back up through the cabin. Won't get technical with it, but it does. So just take my word for it. And the second thing is this does have LED taillights, which are a really, really nice piece. Again, the back is my favorite part of this car. And the second favorite part is the interior. Let's go check it out. All right, so I'm in the back of the 2021 Kia Forte. So a few things to note. One, most importantly, is it does continue some of the red accents all the way through. I really like this Audi RS design that they've put back here, and they follow it. So it's kind of synthetic leather all the way through, and then this cloth type, maybe it's not cloth, but it feels or appears to be cloth in the back. I'd say it's more of a synthetic feel here, but feels pretty good. I'd say in terms of headroom, I'm okay. I'm sort of tight, but pretty good. It is indented in the front, but that's just the design of the car. It does have an 8-speaker HK sound system, and you can see that from the door panels. They have this indentation of the little perforations for the speaker. It does have the red stitching on the bottom here where the handle is, but I'm not sure what happened to the red stitching up here. They missed that part. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be there or not, but it doesn't have it. It appears like it's missing it, like it's got it in black, but strange. It also doesn't have any USBs or USB-Cs in the back here. It does have vents that the Mazda 3 Turbo doesn't have. So You give some, you take some. It does have cup holders, and it does have 60-40 split in the back. This is your 40, and there's your 60. It does have 3 seat belts, and let's go to the front. So I'm in the front seat of the Kia Forte 5. And first things first that I noticed right off the bat is these seats. They did a great job with these seats. They have nice red piping that goes on the sides, on the bolsters, and they do have the red stitching obviously flowing all the way through, and they have that little spice or taste of the GT, which will make you remind you of a Stinger, because if you're looking to upgrade to a Stinger, this will look very familiar to you. So the second but most important piece to me, which I wish they will change, is this armrest. It does slide backwards and forwards, which is awesome, but the material they use is a no-go. I just don't like how it's very hard and thick. It has a little bit of press to it, but this is gonna start scratch. We'll talk about it on the drive. Other than that, visually here on the side, it does follow the red stitching. It does have obviously automatic window on this side. It does have power windows. It does have lane keep like all Kia stuff does have, and it does have perforations in the steering wheel along with the GT on the bottom. I really like the fact it does have stainless steel pedals and a dead pedal. I've seen manufacturers give you stainless steel pedals, but no dead pedal that's stainless. It's like carpet, and you're wondering, like, why? It does have these circular vents that are reminiscent of some Mercedes product, but they're nice and big. It's only on the sides they're circular. In the center, they're your typical standard rectangular with sort of a eyebrow shape. It does have dual climate control, and like most Kia products, it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It also does have wireless charging. And if you get the GT Limited, you get a few other things like air conditioning seats and a little bit more amenities. The screen stays exactly the same, and we've reviewed this screen on the older Kia Stinger, so we won't get into the screen too much, because I'm sure if you're watching this review, you've watched a whole bunch of reviews with this multimedia interface. It does have heated seats, heated steering wheel, which is awesome, and obviously all the safety stuff that you're used to. This specific one has keeping your lane. It doesn't have front collision. That's on the GT Limited. But other than that, I'd say it's a pretty good, solid base of a product for a manual transmission car. Now, I think the most important thing is going through the gears and feeling how the car feels. Suspension, looks, handling, drive, all that stuff. So let's get into it, take it for a drive. So I'm in the 2021 Kia Forte 5. Manual transmission, and let's launch this puppy. These things are just so smooth nowadays. It's cheating. Like this gearbox, the first thing I want to talk about in the drive is the gearbox. It's like, they say it's manual, and the only reason it's manual is because you have a clutch. But it's nothing like manuals used to be. This is just like a fake manual. It's honestly a fake manual. Like, I barely have to even push the clutch down to the floor. I don't even know why the floor even exists. I don't even know why they have the whole like concept of pushing it down. You literally have to just do one of these, and I don't feel any synchro pushback, nothing. It's just very easy. Like, this is manual transmission for dummies. That's the first thing. And number two, it takes regular gas. It's nice to know that it makes 200 horsepower and 195 foot-pounds of torque with regular gas. So third gear, 3,500 RPM, foot to the ground, and you know what's wild about this thing is that you can rev it, obviously right to red line, and there's no governor, but it sounds good. Like, it's just crazy to think that it sounds good, because Ian's Mazda 3, and I can hate on it because it sounds like nothing. It's super quiet, you can barely hear it inside or outside, but this thing, it sounds good. Not just inside, but outside. And I only know this because Ian was filming on the outside, and he's like, man, it sounds so good on the outside. How come my car doesn't sound like this? To which I say, I have no idea. So how's visibility? Visibility is excellent. I'm sitting at a perfect road height. The only complaint I will have in here, I mentioned that in the interior part, is this armrest. I like the fact that it slides backwards and forwards. Very important. I actually thought it wasn't going to slide backwards and forwards. So when it did, it was a surprise to me. But the material, oh my God, guys, what is this material? This material totally sucks, especially because your hand's moving back and forth. You're gonna get bruised up and all beat up over here, or get ashy like me, you know? No lotion. But this is the problem. To me, you put a different material here and it's good. Like, yeah, the seats are synthetic sort of leather, but this is like the door panel material. It should be leather here. You're putting leather in the steering wheel, you should have leather here. Just my 2 cents. Come on, Kia, listen up to me. So we're talking about plumbed in sound. There is a sport button here, and the sport button essentially just means plumbed in sound. So let's 3,000 RPM, foot to the ground, no plumbed in sound. Plumbed in sound. Very easy to tell about 4,000 RPM, but after that and below that, can't really tell. It's hard to get it on audio, but it does make a little bit of a difference. Thank God it's not obvious. Like you hit it, it's like, meh, meh, meh. It's pretty good. Other than that, nice black headliner, feels good, good size, good space. It does really pass a sniff test in the back. The visuals on the back is really, really nice. The front, probably not the best in my opinion, but it's got a really good overall feel. It's easy to drive, light, nice electronic steering, good solid braking. I like the steel pedals on there. I can see them completely from top to bottom. They're not kind of hiding back there. I can see them right here from just looking down, straight down. Everything else is pretty good. So everything that this car gives you makes me feel like it's a Kia. It gives me the wireless charging, gives me the great steering, gives me good suspension, gives me all the extra toys. The only complaint I have in here is the insulation. It's a little bit louder. Now, I'm not really being too fussy because obviously it's the price point. At this price point, you can't expect too much. They give you obviously a good engine, regular gas, and they give you pretty good looks in the back. But it's a little bit noisier at higher speed. The gearing is excellent. They've got the gears down packed. I like how 5th and 6th are fairly long, and it's still got a decent amount of power. So I'm doing 90 kilometers an hour at just under 3,000 RPM. I hit the throttle, and it's got good pull. Now this does weigh 3,200 pounds, which is about average in the sort of compact area in terms of weight. So it's like every other competitor it currently has. So I wouldn't say it's super light, so maybe a little bit more insulation. So that's my only really two small complaints. Insulation, a little bit more, and armrest. Armrest is the big one. So that's the only big complaint I have is the armrest. Sound system is good. Yeah, you can complain about the piano black here and there, but hey, I'm not going to worry about that. A nice feature that a lot of people may not talk about is hill hold. Just because this is manual transmission and not the 7-speed sequential gearbox or dual clutch, this has hill hold, which is nice because you're sitting on an uphill. It does hold the brakes for 5 seconds. So I put it in gear, I press the brake. As soon as I release my foot from the brake, guess what? We're not rolling back. This thing does hold the brake. So that is good. That's what I do like about this thing. And it's got okay traction. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. It doesn't have a ton of torque steer, but it is good. It's got a decent amount. I wouldn't say it's crazy amount of grip. And on the throttle, it's a little bit of torque, a little bit of slippage, but the ESP is nice. It lets you kind of slip through a little bit of braking, as opposed to cuts power Mercedes. Like, can you believe that? Why does Mercedes let cut power? Huh, that's annoying. You want to have at least a little bit of slippage. Come on, it's a driver's car, for God's sakes. Kia. Always impressed. Well, I hope you guys like this review on this 2021 Kia Forte 5. And if you have any questions, comments, complaints, hit us up in the comments below. And as always, thanks for subscribing, because we know you did. See you next time.